team leader for Usuzo. Usuzo means help, and that is an organization that was started. It was born out of an experience of having looked after abandoned children for 10 years and experiencing firsthand the traumas of young girls abandoning children due to being sexually exploited, being abandoned by the alleged fathers. And so having worked with that organization for 10 years, it hit home, and being an adoptive parent myself, I experienced firsthand the trauma of looking at a baby being abandoned because the mother didn't want them, because the mother was molested or exploited by someone, and they ended up having to abandon the child. So the motivation for starting the organization as well came from the fact that I am a mother of teenagers, so it hits home to know that I am raising the same group of people that are exploited out there. And it is a personal initiative to make sure that the children are supported, are encouraged, are given the right guidance to be able to walk through the trauma, to walk through the pain, to walk through their personal experiences. Because having handled different pregnant girls, there's so many different issues. And society has come to judge that the girl got pregnant, and most of the time it's her fault. It's her fault. So the way we handle it, we keep it quiet. Families don't want to deal with their children when they get raped, when they get pregnant, they keep it quiet. They don't want anyone to know about it. And from a personal experience, I remember going through sexual violence as a child, and my mother trusted a teacher so much that even in holidays, he would invite the teacher to our home to visit, because he was a caretaker at school, and in the holiday he would come to our house. And whenever he would come to our house, he would still try, even in the holiday, to try and have his way in our home. And I had a lot of challenges thinking of how to break the news to my mother that that guy is molesting me and other people at school. But he was loved. He was one of the most favorite teachers at school. He was loved by the parents. He was trusted. He was a very, very calm, lovely man. But he was molesting girls continuously. And so when I finally had the courage to share with my mom, now my mom was a very tough teacher by profession. She caused havoc in the whole school because of her daughter being molested by a teacher. And that created a lot of awareness, and when they asked how many girls had gone through that experience, there were over 50 that had been molested by that one teacher. But the earlier panel, someone said that the parents have to be aware. You invite someone into your home, an uncle, a brother, and you leave them and trust them with your children, and you're not even sure what is happening, and you're not at home. And these are the people that actually molest the children, and they get away with it because the children think you trust and love this person, and they're not sure how you react if they say something. So it's that and a number of other issues that has motivated me to do what I do.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think many other people out there can relate to that story. And there's a saying that goes, the ruin of a nation begins in the home of its people. And it all rotates around the fact that it begins within the family unit most of the time.
Out there in the world, when someone is sexually abused, you can keep it secret, but it becomes even worse when one is even pregnant, because it's visible to the whole world. And what does the world perceive of these girls? Most of the times, and as we were growing up, most of us, when a young girl got pregnant, you'd notice this is one of those promiscuous girls. You couldn't think there is actually a story behind what she's actually going through. And looking at this whole journey, who is able to help these girls know that even when they've gone through sexual abuse, even after they have become teenage mothers, that that is not the end of the world. There is a lot of potential, and these girls struggle to actually come out and think they can actually attain their God-given potential. But concentrating so much on the girl child, how about the boy child? And with that, we've had to make a lot of excuses, but that is actually a serious issue. Seeing how, if we are saying there's a lot of fatherlessness that's going on, yes, these girls are giving birth to babies who do not have fathers. There's one of the girls who was actually telling me if my baby in future, she was defiled, and she was telling me in future if my baby ever asks me who their father is, I'll tell them he was killed in the Bobi Wine riots. Because she doesn't know who the father to her baby is. And how can we help these girls, even those that haven't? For that one, she may not be able to get to know their father, but there are a number of them who are able to see their fathers. One, we have something that's called Fathers Arise, and we have model fathers, fathers who have been able to rise up and decided to take their stand as fathers, to come up and be mentors and be role models to some of these young boys. Because because most of the girls, especially with the crisis pregnancy centers, there are a lot of ladies that these girls are looking up to, people who have walked this journey, a similar journey like they have. But for the young boys, they need people to walk alongside them. And if there are men who have decided to take their position and they have been responsible fathers, they are very good role models to these boys. And we are not going to wait for them to first get into situations where they have impregnated girls. No, right from schools, right from our families. We have young boys who are actually growing, but as a father in that family, how are you modeling fatherhood to your own son? Because in future, or some like she shared, she's already parenting teenagers, and we've seen even teenagers impregnate teenagers. But how are you concentrating so much on the girl child? How about the boy child? And with that, we've had to make a lot of excuses, but that is actually a serious issue. Seeing how, if we are saying there's a lot of fatherlessness that's going on, yes, these girls are giving birth to babies who do not have fathers. There's one of the girls who was actually telling me if my baby in future, she was defiled, and she was telling me in future if my baby ever asks me who their father is, I'll tell them he was killed in the Bobi Wine riots. Because she doesn't know who the father to her baby is. And how can we help these girls, even those that haven't? For that one, she may not be able to get to know their father, but there are a number of them who are able to see their fathers. One, we have something that's called Fathers Arise, and we have model fathers, fathers who have been able to rise up and decided to take their stand as fathers, to come up and be mentors and be role models to some of these young boys. Because because most of the girls, especially with the crisis pregnancy centers, there are a lot of ladies that these girls are looking up to, people who have walked this journey, a similar journey like they have. But for the young boys, they need people to walk alongside them. And if there are men who have decided to take their position and they have been responsible fathers, they are very good role models to these boys. And we are not going to wait for them to first get into situations where they have impregnated girls. No, right from schools, right from our families. We have young boys who are actually growing, but as a father in that family, how are you modeling fatherhood to your own son? Because in future, or some like she shared, she's already parenting teenagers, and we've seen even teenagers impregnate teenagers.
By human rights defenders, omulino kuchobolete embeli abaana balanga bakwata. Kati kyemulidde banyagwa ne basobola ddala basente ba LC1 muyite enkiiko nange mumpite tata semogere mwenna babanjudde nasanyuse mutuyite ekigambo nti tukitwale kyalo ku kyalo ffe tulwanire Mukono district abaana baffe babeere n'essuubi ne future baleme kuggwamu ssuubi olw'agasajja ageeyita agalume agatala abaana ne kakola ki ne gatafaayo kubawa byetaago balina okufuna nga balamu. Mwebale nnyo neebaza ebitongole byonna banyabo ne baso.
To take this chance to thank the partners who are in this drive, because as we all know, girls are the mothers of tomorrow. Kati omuwala w'omukyala bw'omwonoona psychologically, physically, and you damage them, then that means we have no future. As our partners who have come together to fight for the girl child, because if we don't have a girl child, I think we are a dead nation. We as the district, we are willing and always willing to work with donors and civil societies that are in the drive to fight for the girl child.
Speaker Mukono district. Okuva bwe natuuse wano ndi musanyufu nnyo okuba ndaba ensonga ezisinga okutunyigiriza mu bukulembeze ne mu ofiisi ezo gye tutuula ndaba ng'essaawa eno ze zimu ze tutuddeko wano okusalira amagezi ate n'okuva wano nga ffe tufuuse abamanyi oba abakugu abagenda okwongera to create awareness eri ba victims, eri families n'eri abantu bonna. So I take this opportunity to thank all the implementing partners who are here and everyone for helping us increase on the awareness over sexual gender-based violence. So thank you so much.
How have you worked with the police? Allow me to mention, ladies and gentlemen, that at the district, we have what we call the security committee. The security committee in the district is headed by the RDC, the Resident District Commission. In that security committee, the DPC is brought on board. The OCC, the district side officer is brought on board. The LC5 chairperson is also a member of that committee. The district police commander is also a member of that committee. And the other agencies, BISO, security, they come monthly and sit and absorb all what has been happening in the district. So, Madam, through this meeting, this is where we add our heads as leaders of the district, leaders of security, and you see that the link between the DPC's office and the LC5's office are operating in the right position. So we are working hand in hand to see that this gender-based violence is mitigated.
Amanya gange nze nawoza Elizabeth, Assistant Inspector of Police, a detective. I'm the OC Gender Mukono Division.
Yeah, cases is it?
Yes, to look statistics, kusonga z'okukabasanya, oba we can say in broad gender-based violence.
Ensonga z'okukabasanya abaana bataneetuuka mu Mukono district kigenze wala nnyo kubanga nja kugamba like a week nsobola okufuna cases ezisuka mu 10 nga za kukabasanya abaana bataneetuuka. Abaana abalala batata baabwe babakabasanya era ekyo mu wiiki nsobola okufunamu like 1 to 2 cases nga batata baabwe be babakabasanyizza. Abaana abasinga obungi okukabasanyizibwa bali mu myaka 8 ku 17 majority, naye weesanga mu abo nga mulimu n'abaana ab'emyaka 3-4 nga bakabasanyizibwa abasajja. So omwezi statistics yaffe nebeera nti nyinza okufuna cases ezisuuka mu 3 mwezi in Mukono district. So sizo ezo zokka, waliyo ne cases endala nga trafficking in persons. Tulina cases nyingi zetufuna eza trafficking in persons nga majority abasinga okubeera involved in this, they are the so-called pastors abeerimbika mu kubeera bapasita naye ng'ebigendererwa byabwe bya kukabaasanya baana.
Yes, kiki ekigenda okukolebwa okusinziira ku ggwe okulaba ng'embeera eno esobola okubeera reversed?
Ekisaanirwa okukolebwa, community policing is so important in this issue. Nti singa wabeerawo community policing nga officers bagenda mu byalo ne babuulira abantu ne babawa enkizo okugenda ku ma radios, ma TVs ne babuulira community, the outreach of the information to reach the downer person. Omuntu nti bw'aba alina TV asobola okuwulira amawulire ago ku TV oba ku radio oba n'okweyambisa ba LCs, kubanga ba LCs batuyamba nnyo kinene okubeera nti bamanyi abantu baabwe ate batuuka na ku buli omu.
Naye nga obuzibu bwe tufeesinga abaana bajja n'abazadde bennyini who come to our offices for help, there are so many. So I am requesting the government offices, please don't make it so hard for us to be able to give a hand. Kubanga kyemanyi nti emirimu egisinga gye tukola girina kubeera mirimu gya government. Naye I know that sometimes the budget constrains us. Nga sente ki ntono. Naffe ne tusitukiramu as responsible community citizens. And we are like, okay, let us do what? Let us be able to help. Naye sometimes you're like, mwaba government, ab'ebitongole mulya buli sente, mulya mutuweko sente. Nabagambye leero sigenda kukola ki? Kulumamu. Kaakati kyensaba kubanga abaana babonaabona. We be in the field and you see the pain in the eyes of these little girls. When you look at the babies that we have at the center, but baby nga bonna butambula bwe buti, n'obutunuulira n'ogamba mazima gennyini, what is the future of these children? Wotunuulira abaana ab'obuwala nga their mothers were teenage mothers, even their grandmothers were teenage mothers. N'olabira ddala nga if we do not act now and break that cycle, our Uganda is going to keep on going down. Ate kaakati now we have spent 2 years without being in school. Hey! I don't know how we are going to redeem that time as a nation. See, man, I don't know how we are going to redeem that time as a nation. Let us pray for ourselves. Kubanga few of the people, for them their children are studying. Boba kolachi? Basu. Somehow they make it happen. But our everyday people, munanga abana bali yawo. Kakati bafumbirwa. So, just play for me that Kadasha video.
So Vanessa's heart and stories touched Scott and his wife. So when I stayed in Scott's house, wasn't it so funny that he was telling me more about what's happening in Uganda than me who lives in Uganda? And I hope I'm not the only victim. But story. Wanika kotulabe abamuga temwanika munyo mafaza babumbi. Right, yeah. So Scott, I want to say thank you so much for opening my eyes to see what was happening in Uganda.
Ekisokera ddala Katonda akikyawa. Katonda akyawa okukwata abaana abato. Era bw'obanga gwakwata abaana abato, omulabe wa asooka oba kale akunenya asooka Katonda we akunyiigira, era bw'otakyuka ne weenenya oligenda mu nnyanja ey'omuliro ogutazika. Nga tunatya na poliisi, nga tunatya kintu kyonna, sooka otye Katonda kubanga ye alaba mu nzikiza, alaba mu kyalo. Ekyokubiri, nsaba okwebaza nga bano ba Rescue One More ne NGOs endala ezisivuddeyo okulwanisa abaana abato bakabasanyizza. Mukama abawe omukisa okubeera abasamaliya abalungi okufaanana muwala wa Falaawo eyalondanga Musa yali agenda okufa ku mugga. Ekyokusatu, eri mmwe ba victims abaana abato, ekisooka teweekyawa. Nyina gwe mmanyi oli yamukabasinya n'amulekera ne siriimu n'abula. Nsaba oleme okwekyawa. Mukama Katonda akyakwagala era akumanyi. Kati nga Vanessa gw'owulidde kati abeera na mu Amerika, Katonda yamukolera ebirungi, kati ayamba n'abalala. Kkiriza naawe limu ojja kuyamba abalala. Eri abakwata abaana, Bayibuli egamba mu Ezekiel nti ndikuwa omutima omupya, ndikuwa n'emmeeme empya. Mwenna abakola ebikolobero ebibi, saba Katonda akuwa omutima omupya, akuwa emmeeme empya. Ekiddira ekisembayo, abannaffe abapoliisi ng'oli bamukwata yarepinga omwana n'awaayo emitwalo oba 5 ne bamukola ki, ne bamusumula. Gwe kennyini amusumuludde, akwatisa amateeka, Katonda abaaku ekyakikyawa. Oba olimbye nnyo kubanga omuntu naasaana to face justice. Ekisemberayo ddala buli omu ku ffe afeeyo ku mwana omuto ku kyalo kyo, oba omuzaala oba tomuzaala.